New Zealand police to introduce the hijab to the uniform. In New Zealand police have recently introduced the hijab into their official uniform to encourage more Muslim women to join. A spokesperson for the department said that they aimed to create a, quote, inclusive service that reflects its, quote, diverse community. Work to develop the hijab for the New Zealand police uniform began in 2018 in response to police staff requests. Constable Zeena Ali will become the first officer to wear the official hijab. She said, quote, "It feels great to be able to go out and show the New Zealand police hijab as part of my uniform. I think that seeing it, more Muslim women will want to join as well."
This seems like a case of religious privilege to me.
Yes.
I don't know, Rivka.
I have something that I want to say about this, and I have nothing, it's not specifically about whether they should have a hijab or not have a hijab, but it's something that burns me up every time I hear this. It's this assumption that all Muslim women wear the cover. All Muslim women want to wear the cover. All Muslim women should wear the cover. And therefore, we need to make the cover, the hijab, because that's the way all Muslim women are. And it makes me so angry because that kind of attitude is doing the work of religious fundamentalists for them.
Yes.
Well, I mean, yeah, but even if they all did, okay, so let me just finish. But even if they all did wear the hijab, that would still not justify. But I agree with the point, right? First of all, they're like, oh, we're making this welcoming to Muslim women.
Because we want Muslim women to join the police force.
Can I finish, please?
Yeah,
but the vast majority of Muslim women outside of Islamic countries don't wear the hijab. I mean, not the vast majority, but many of them. Most of them, right? So that's ridiculous. But let's say they did. I mean, this is the government that's supposed to be secular, right? And this is the government. This is a religious symbol. The hijab is a religious symbol. It's a advertising of an ideology. Front and center when you're enforcing the law, I think a lot of people who don't get why we're against this would get it if police cars had Bible verses on them.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
Are they going to make a kippah for the New Zealand police now too?
Can I just finish my point, please? Because I think a lot of these people would be like, if we wanted to make the police welcoming to Christians by saying it's okay for you to have Bible verses on the police cars, a lot of these people would be like, if we said, guys, this is just a Bible verse, we're just telling the Christians that why can't they just decorate their own car with Bible verses? Why can't they not do that? Why can't we show the Christian people that this is a welcoming environment to them? You're like, well, I mean, you could say that. Then the argument to come back to me might have been that, well, it's not mandated in Christianity to have Bible verses on your car. And then that's when I get you. That's when I got you. So you are enforcing Islamic rules because you are deciding
Sharia.
Seriously, let me just make this point, okay? I'm not talking creeping Sharia. This is not creeping Sharia at all, okay? But the argument that is being made here by a secular government is that we're deciding what rules we are promoting, what we're allowing as a religious symbol, and what we're not. So we're not going to have Bible verses on the car, but we're allowing hijab on police officers because what? Because the Bible verses are not mandated in Christianity in your car, but hijabs are mandated in Islam. So a secular government is looking into what the religious teachings are and using theological arguments using divine authority as an argument for what should be allowed as a symbol, as a agent of the government that is supposed to be enforcing the law, what religious symbols they get to advertise, we decide that based on what that religion is teaching is mandatory and what is not. Because if that is not the standard, because if that's not what the standard is, then you should also be able to have Bible verses on police cars. And if you have Bible verses on, if you don't see the problem with that, if you don't think like, oh yeah, this is secular government that shouldn't have any position on religion, that shouldn't be using any ideology other than enforcing the laws of the land on the people, if you don't see the reason, I mean, forget Bible verses. Forget Bible verses. Imagine if we allowed MAGA in the United States on police cars. Let's say you have a political ideology. Do you think it would be allowed for police to have like, oh yeah, we're gonna have MAGA uniforms. I'm gonna have a MAGA hat. We're gonna have police uniforms that are specifically showing your political ideology. Do you think that would be allowed? And if that is not allowed, why is this allowed? Okay. Again, when we here at Atheist Republic, we fight against anti-religious bigotry and discrimination. Okay, but there is a difference between people being targeted and persecuted because of their religion than taking their religious privileges away. Taking religious privileges away from people is not the same as anti-religious bigotry. All right, Rivka, you wanted to say something? Let me unmute you. Go on.
Well, also, I think it's important distinction to make when regard to talking about secular government is that it's not like there's New Zealand police women and they're wearing their uniform paid for with New Zealand taxpayer dollars and a government uniform and their own hijab that they brought from home. Okay, no, this is a hijab that the police department is making as part of the uniform. Okay, so they are making a religious garment. So that's why I made the point. So what's next? Kippa? They're going to have a, New Zealand Police Department kippa. They're going to, or yarmulke, for those of you that they're going to unveil next. A turban that's made by the New Zealand Police Department and has their logo and that's paid for by New Zealand tax dollars. So there's also a difference there, right? Is if you're wearing your police uniform but you're bringing your own yarmulke or turban that you bought, that you wear, versus making the entire country pay for and have the logo of the, municipality or whatever on religious articles. That bothers me.
I really liked a comment I saw on Twitter by Sadia Hamid, who said the uniform of the law symbolizes neutrality. By allowing religious apparel, it undermines the principle of impartial and universal application of the law.
Okay, I want to say two things. First of all, Rivka, I do see your point. But even if there's nothing next, this is still a problem when the people use a religious symbol or political when it comes to an unbiased, it's supposed to be an unbiased source of law enforcement, right? AG, that's one thing. But I agree. I'm not dismissing your point. I was just saying, I was just adding to it. Okay, but you are right. AJ is saying some countries in the U.S. have been allowed to have a Bible verse and "In God We Trust" on their police cars. Yeah, and the thing is that my point is that that's a problem. That's obviously a problem. But a lot of the people who see this hijab thing as not a problem, I think they're hypocrites because they themselves do see police cars having Bible verses on them as a problem. They notice how that's a problem, and yet they defend this hijab thing. Okay. By the way, please, 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 please do not use any of this as an excuse to hate or dismiss the desires of the individual Muslim police officers who are happy about this. This is not about them, and this does not encourage any hatred or any bigotry against those individuals. Okay, and this is about, we are criticizing the government and this decision. We're not like talking about taking any positions against any individuals who might be happy or look good, or like, oh my god, look at her. Yeah, we're not like, please do not see this as a sign that we're promoting any hatred towards those individuals at all. If you, in fact, if you use these things, these trends that you don't like as an excuse to hate on specific individuals for their for the decisions that they're making. I mean, if you are a Muslim police officer and now it's legal for you to wear the hijab and you want to wear the hijab, then I do not see why you wouldn't wear the hijab, right? Like, you are taking advantage of whatever has been made legal now. So there's no criticism should be directed at the individual police officers, of course, right? Something is being made legal, they want it, they're taking advantage of it. The criticism is towards the policy specifically, not to the individual police officers at all, right? Do you guys want to add anything before I highlight some comments?
Oh yeah, when I said Sharia earlier, I was joking and
Yeah, I
making
know.
fun of people who genuinely think this is a sign of creeping Sharia. But just clarifying, because a lot of people are dummies. And I also don't want it to be used against, bigotry against individuals.
I actually agree with the neutrality of the law idea, but I think that sometimes people like police officers to display some sort of, whether it's religious or community affiliations, because they're trying to build community policing. So
you wouldn't do that with MAGA costumes, so go to MAGA people. Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm agreeing with it. I'm saying I think that is oftentimes why they, and actually they do in a lot of ways, send police officers sometimes. And I don't know, but my point is, I think that's why they would tell you sometimes why they want to do some of this, is they want people from communities that they're going to be policing to be in the department. I'm not saying I agree with it from the perspective of the government. I'm just simply bringing it up as to why they think that maybe it's, beyond the fetishization of the hijab, which I think is a huge part of it, honestly.
Well, I mean, they were kind of explicit in that being one motivation. Like, this officer, Zeena Ali, talks about how she was motivated to become a police officer after the Christchurch shooting and felt that more Muslims need to, be involved in law enforcement. And so she was saying that, I hope this encourages more Muslim women to be involved in law enforcement. Right. I get frustrated when certain regressives' ideas of inclusivity includes symbols of the subjugation of women. I don't appreciate that.
Guys, I really need to read the comments. Right.
Me neither, but I think this is fetishization.
Okay, we need to read the comments really fast because we've been going for too long. Esther is saying, hope people to show loyalty to the country where they live, I think you mean, not just the religion, and this is the most important point. I don't know. What does that got? Okay, fine. Lee is saying people should be allowed to believe what they want. That's such a dumb comment always. People should be allowed to believe what they want. How could you even stop that? I never understand that. You mean people should be allowed to practice what they believe? Because there's no way, unless you could like rewire people's brains, there's no way to stop people from believing what they want to believe. Like, what does that even mean? People should be, how are you going to stop people from believing what they want to believe? This is always like such a virtue signaling nonsense that I never understood what it even means. Okay, people should be allowed to believe what they want. I believe that when we die, that's it, we rot. I don't know what this got to do with this news item. It got 77. Like, the only way we live on is through our children. What does this got to do with the hijab? Okay, I'm going to go to the next one. Brian is saying special privileges for certain religious groups. I agree with Brian here. Philip saying excellent example of regression in progress. I agree with that as well. Let me see what. Okay, here, this is the one I wanted to highlight. Let me see if. Oh no, there's another one as well. This makes me happy. People should be free to express themselves as long as they're not hurting anyone. Rachel, you're a moron because just because you're free to wear the hijab, that doesn't mean you are entitled to have a job. For example, okay, Rachel, you are free to not wear the post office uniform. You're free to do that. Okay, nobody is forcing you to wear the post office uniform everywhere you go. Okay, but if you are working at the post office, if they ask you to wear the uniform, that doesn't mean you're not free not to wear the post office uniform. Oh, where's my freedom? Where's my freedom? Why are they making me wear this uniform? My free? No. Okay, you don't have. If you do not want to wear this uniform, you do not have to have this job. You're not entitled just because you have the freedom to wear the hijab or not wear the hijab. That doesn't mean that you're entitled to a job while being able to practice your religious freedom. You are able to practice your religious freedom. That doesn't mean people owe you a specific job while you're practicing your religion. Okay? God, how do people not get the difference? Your freedom is not being taken away from you if somebody says you don't get to practice your religion while doing this job. Okay? You can still practice your goddamn religion, but not while you're doing this job. That's not against anyone's freedom. Okay, so you guys, I don't know, Susanna or Rivka wanted to say something before
I think that we gotta, but I think that often, particularly in America, or Americans may not understand that because the United States has a 1964 Civil Rights Act, Title VII, which specifically says that you have to make reasonable accommodations for people's religion. Okay? So the title, that act would say that allowing someone to wear a hijab is reasonable because it's not preventing them from doing their job. Now, if it totally is, if they have to wear, if in some way that it is unreasonable, then they're allowed to say no. So I think Americans have a very difficult time often understanding what you're saying because they live in a country where employers are required by law to accommodate religion.
This is the government recognizing divine authority, which makes it anti-secular. Because there's no other set of ideas that gets this level of privilege. They'd be like, oh, I need to be able to, this employer needs to adhere to these set of ideas because I have them, and these rules are making it hard for me to be true to my philosophy. It's only religious ideas that gets that kind of privilege. And the fact that that's the law makes the government non-secular. Okay, so Christina is saying the whole point, again, secularism is not binary. Okay, this is just one element that makes it less secular. Christina is saying the whole point of uniform is neutrality in a secular and democratic state. Religious and political convictions are private, and their symbols should not be advertised on the attire of public law enforcers. I very much agree with that. Okay, in fact, in very secular, one thing else I want to say. In secular countries and in secular provinces like Quebec, when they even say that you shouldn't be wearing the hijab, when you're representing the government, they even let you get away with it if you have a government job, but you're not acting as an enforcer or as a representative of the government. So, for example, they say that if you are an accountant, even if you're a government employee, you're an accountant, you can wear the hijab because you're just doing accounting stuff, okay? But if you're a law enforcer and you're acting on behalf of the government and you're representing the government, then you cannot be wearing the hijab. So, that if that is not fair, I don't understand. Like, that is, I completely get it. It makes complete sense. So even a government position you could still wear the hijab, because if you're doing accounting, you're not going out there and representing the government. You're just in your office doing accounting stuff. Okay, so this is it cannot get any more fair than this. This is like taking religious privileges away. That is not anti-religious bigotry. But anyways, that was our lesson. Do you guys want to add anything?
No.
You're good. Okay, good. Wow.
I enjoyed this show today.
Rivka, do you want to add anything? Okay, I just want to say thank you again for getting us to 200 patrons. Watch our accounts. Sexy Muhammad and Rama coming out very shortly, very, very shortly. As soon as I saw the last sketch, there's just a tiny thing that needs to be added to it, and it's ready to go. Probably within the next hour, or in the next few hours, it's going to come out. I'm not sure, but just watch our accounts. Follow us. The links are in the description. I'm being suspended on Twitter, so just follow Susanna. Follow us on Facebook. It's coming out soon. Okay, it's coming out very shortly. Okay, thank you again for the 200 patrons, guys. Help us stay at 200 patrons. Link to our Patreon is in the description. Help us stay there so that we could keep producing this blasphemous art every single week. Okay, Faraz is saying make bondage. Yes, the one after Muhammad and Rama is going to be Muhammad in bondage, while Goddess Kelly is whipping him. So that the one after that is going to be BDSM.
Yeah, so my homework is now looking up reference pics of rope bondage.
Yes. So then,
I actually do want to say something. I went to the Discord server, everybody.
Link to our Discord server is in the description.
I've lost my Discord virginity.
Okay, cool. By the way, Susanna is like doing research for our guys. Let me tell you. Let me embarrass Susanna. Susanna needs to take constant breaks.
No, I'm removing you.
She needs to take she's doing research for our art to be able to figure out what sexy art she was making, and she needs to take constant breaks from doing her research before she goes back to okay. All right.
Yeah, if you want to know what our work environment is like.
She needs to
never a dull moment.
Relieve herself.
No.
Anyways, I'm gonna all right, guys. Talk to you guys soon. Bye. Look out for our artists coming and help us stay at 200 patrons. Link in the description. Bye. Thank you for joining us. Subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell thingy. If you haven't, I don't know why. What's holding you back? Okay. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, why haven't you subscribed to our channel? Explain that to us, please. Like, bell, and also if you're not getting notifications and stuff because YouTube is not telling people that we have shows, because YouTube is like, oh, this person told us that they want to get your shows, right? They want to get your videos, but nah, we think is no. And they also hit the bell button, but nah, you guys are too controversial. We want to show them mainstream stuff. We want to show them CNN or cat videos or whatever. But people are like, no, we want to see Atheist Republic. And YouTube is like, no, we don't think you want this. They're like, no, please show it to us. We say to you, we want to see Atheist Republic. And YouTube is like, no, we think we know what's better for you than you yourself. So to solve that, there's a link in the description, which is to our newsletter. So hopefully we could email it to you. So hopefully you get some of our content that way. Okay. So yeah, subscribe to our newsletter as well, and share our videos, because we do get demonetized. That's an obvious on every one of our videos. So F that. But we don't care about that anymore. But we also get deprioritized, and that's even more damaging to us. Deprioritized, what does that mean? That means we don't show up on the suggested videos on the right and all that on people's homepages, and that's how channels grow. Unfortunately, we can't grow, so we need you guys to share our videos.